One, two, three, four.
You're listening to the SKYLIT Books podcast. We're an independent, general interest bookstore putting great reads in the hands of people in the Los Feliz neighborhood of Los Angeles. Hosted by resident Skylighters, we're here to bring you new and exciting author conversations, group reads, and bookseller chats. Happy listening.
Hello, my beautiful listeners, and welcome to SKYLIT. This is the SKYLIT Books podcast, and I'm your host, Lance Morgan. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Wajahat Ali to talk about his new book, Go Back to Where You Came From, and other helpful recommendations on how to become American. Wajahat Ali is a New York Times contributing op-ed writer, public speaker, recovering attorney, and tired dad of three cute kids now. His work has appeared in The Atlantic, The Washington Post, Guardian, and New York Review of Books. He lives in the Washington, D.C. area. Waj, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for tolerating dad life as I was running around trying to sit down and act like a professional during a potential snowstorm in Virginia with three wildlings. So I appreciate your patience.
No, of course. It's our pleasure. I mean, for a great book like this, it's worth it. It's fully
your check is in the mail, sir. Well done.
And thank you for acknowledging that. I was going to ask. Actually, I take cash only.
Yeah. You're the youngins. I'm an old timer. I'll Venmo you. The kids love the Venmo.
I think crypto is the new thing.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'll buy you an NFT.
Perfect. There it is. That's it. Thank you for coming on. No, this is going to be a pleasure. I'm so excited. To start off, you have a reading for us today?
I do have a reading for you. This is the opening of the book, and It goes something like this. Introduction. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Fan mail number 1. Go back to where you came from. Fremont, California? I'd love to, but I can't afford the rent. I'm priced out. Damn you tech overlords. Cursed be my fate. Oh, if only I had listened to mother and become a doctor instead. Silent weeping. Thank you, though. I appreciate the helpful recommendation. Fan mail number 2. Why don't you shut up and go fuck a goat, you Muslim terrorist? Always with the goats and camels. Why limit my options? 2 legs good, 4 legs good. But no thank you, I'm happily married to a woman. Also, it's Muslim terrorist, unless you're referring to muslin, which is a versatile cotton fabric originally hailing from Mosul, Iraq, and typically has not been associated with overt acts of violent extremism. Nonetheless, I appreciate the helpful recommendation. Fan mail number 3. You're a real smartass, Gandhi. My parents are from Pakistan, not India, but it was all one country pre-partition, so I'll allow it. Also, thank you for comparing me to a beloved icon of nonviolent resistance who helped overthrow centuries of British imperialism. But Gandhi was also racist and a proponent of the oppressive caste system. So Gandhi had much self-work to do on his path towards progress. Still, I appreciate the helpful compliment. Also, it's your welcome. Fan mail number 4. You are literally the biggest fucking race-baiting scumbag loser moron on the face of the planet. Thanks for guaranteeing Trump's re-election, though. Go fuck yourself, clown. Trust me, if I could, I would. As a teenager, I tried, but I eventually gave up. I also appreciate you referring to me as, quote, the biggest fucking race-baiting moron. For so long, I was runner-up, a Salieri to all the Mozarts of the race-hustling game. But now the student has become the master. Thank you for noticing. I appreciate you using the word literally the way it was literally meant to be used. Also, Trump lost. Fan mail number 5. You speak so well, and you're actually a moderate and not a radical. Thank you. I also actually read well, am lactose intolerant, and am wanted in only 3 states. We moderates are an endangered species, but we few who remain try to be civil. And finally, the best fan mail. I saw you agitating for a race war against white people, parentheses, European descended people. What are you waiting for, little man? Your people have accomplished nothing, backwards goat fuckers. It's telling that you would rather invade white spaces and live off white cultural capital then return to your own ancestral lands and try to make a difference there. No, you're just a parasite. We're onto you, you degenerate mud. We know your game. You have a good day. Cordially, Brock Strongballs, College Conservatives. Dear Mr. Strongballs, I am in awe. After reading and rereading this inspired masterpiece, I had to pause and collect myself. I felt like a lady from the antebellum South, flushed and out of breath, muttering, "Oh my," and fanning herself upon receiving a most generous compliment from a slave-holding gentleman with amorous intentions, one of your heroes, or ancestors, I imagine. I remain floored by the profundity and depth of this epic missive that has serendipitously graced my inbox. It is indeed the odyssey of fan mails, Mr. Strongballs, and I assure you, I am no man of hyperbole or flattery. Your prose sings like the sirens and drives me mad with desire. In honor of your elegant, incisive thoughts, allow me, with the limited capacity afforded to me and my fellow mud people, to retort to your poetry. Mr. Strongballs, you begin with an assumption, a compliment, and a question. You write, "I saw you agitating for a race war against white people, European-descended people. What are you waiting for, little man?" Thank you. I have indeed lost a lot of weight since childhood and no longer wear Husky pants. However, you are far too kind. I am by no means little and can afford to lose a dad bod. I am neither agitating for nor plotting a race war against the, quote, white people, whom you have helpfully identified as European-descended people. In fact, some of my favorite people are white people, especially the European-descended kind. My preferred white people are the moderate whites of European descent. I assume you had a small typo and meant rice war, correct? Indeed, in the spirit of camaraderie, I'll wager my basmati against your gruel. Your people have accomplished nothing. Contrary to popular belief, we left-handed people are a highly productive and successful minority who have left a mark on history with our southern paw. My people include U.S. presidents such as my Muslim brother, President Barack Hussein Obama, and legendary thespian President Ronald Reagan. Supreme Court Justice RBG, RIP RBG, banged her gavel with the left hand. Author in America's Lasting Conscience, James Baldwin, wrote with his left as well. And Jimi Hendrix shredded the Star-Spangled Banner at Woodstock. We helped influence Western and, quote, European civilization with the likes of Alexander the Great, Charlemagne, the emperor, not the god, Julius Caesar, and Napoleon Bonaparte, whose humiliating loss nonetheless inspired a catchy ABBA classic. With the left hand, my people even painted God as a naked white man on the Sistine Chapel, something I know you'd appreciate. Backwards goat fuckers! I had never imagined backwards goat sex. Is it similar to reverse cowgirl? You seem like an expert, so I hope I don't mind. Excuse me, 3, 2, 1. So I hope you don't mind me asking. It's telling that you would rather invade white spaces and live off white cultural capital than return to your own ancestral lands and try to make a difference there. It is true. I have spent some time at Whole Foods, admiring the endless selection of artisanal cheeses and overpriced organic fruit spreads. I once entered an Abercrombie and Fitch at the Valley Fair Mall, but I assure you I only window shopped. I purchased nothing. I do not put raisins in my potato salad and have yet to own a single pair of cargo shorts. However, I do confess to enjoying the first 2 seasons of Girls and owning and loving a Sarah McLachlan CD. So you got me there. As I told an earlier fan, I would love to move back to my ancestral land of the Bay Area, California, but only if you can help subsidize my rent. You are just a parasite. Thank you. Parasites get a bad rap, but did you know that some of us actually help protect the host from infections, diseases, and ailments? In the case of America, we protect this country from eating bland food, doing manual labor, competing in spelling competitions, driving around NYC, engineering, performing our own surgeries, economic collapse, and making fools out of themselves when they attempt to wear a sari without guidance. We're on to you, you degenerate mud. Are 2 people writing this email now? Or are you using the imperial we? If so, we is the color of mud, so we appreciate you noticing. Degenerate? Please. We is married. Don't talk dirty to 3, 2, 1. Don't talk dirty to us, you saucy minx. We know your game. Word? You're into carom also? I'll bring the board, you bring the pieces, and I'll take home the queen. You have a good day. Cordially, Brock Strongballs, College Conservatives. And a good day to you, sir. Gracefully, Wajahat Ali, Mud Degenerates.
I should not have muted myself during that because the laugh track you would have gotten would have been great. That we'll edit it in. We'll figure it out. We'll put some the classic sitcom laugh track on there. Exactly. No, that was great. When does your Netflix special come out? That's my first question for you.
No, man. My name is Hassan Minaj. You've already seen my Netflix special called Homecoming King. The other one should be out next year. We're all the same
perfect.
people.
I
You
mean,
can also call me Sanjay Gupta. I've literally been mistaken. I say this without exaggeration. During the pandemic a couple of months ago in the grocery store, someone's like, "Oh, I really see you on CNN and I appreciate your medical advice." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "You're Sanjay Gupta, right?" I'm like, yes, I am. And I get mistaken for Mehdi Hassan, Anand Giridardas, Ali Velshi, which is wild because I have hair and he doesn't, and Hassan Minaj. So we're all the same person.
I mean, I knew there was a conspiracy there. That's ooh, don't cancel me. Don't cancel me, please.
It's a deep masala state conspiracy.
It's so funny because for the holidays, me and my sister had a big Jamaican dinner for it, and we had one of the things we made was a Jamaican curry goat. And so when you're just talking about goat there, I just like faded away back into that memory, and then and so you know what? Thank you for that. Thank you for giving that to me. That was a gift for today to remind me. Thank you to actually the fan mail, because they really gave me that gift today.
The best thing about why I love Jamaicans, and for many reasons, is Jamaicans love goat and South Asians love goat. And for some reason, America still hasn't gotten into goat, even though like the rest of the world has figured it out for like decades.
It's like one of those, but we shouldn't tell them. It's the second they know, it's gonna rock. The price of goat's gonna skyrocket. So
that's why I keep it on the deal. Like, especially like restaurants have goats. I'm gonna keep this on the deal. This is gonna be a deep cut for Wajahat Ali and his friends. And it's like even lamb. People are terrified of lamb. I'm like, just because you don't cook it well. They're like, oh man, it has a smell. When we eat lamb, it doesn't have a smell. It smells delicious.
Delicious. Listen, you know what? I'm not going to give that to them though. You know what? They can't cook it anyways. It's fine. Let them.
They've taken too much, man.
They've taken too much.
Just leave us our goat.
I don't know if you saw the recent trend on Twitter of white people discovering oxtail. And
I did not. Now they're like, this oxtail meat is delicious in soup. You put it in a sandwich.
You put it, and then, but like people are like concerned because they're like, oh, white people are going to drive up the price of oxtail. So there's like, so Black Twitter has been like, oh, oxtail is bad for if you're white, you'll lose all your hair, your skin will wrinkle up. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's and Black Twitter has to be on guard and vigilant because they took hummus and look what they did with hummus.
Oh my God!
Now we have the abomination known as chocolate hummus, which was prophesized as one of the signs of the Day of Judgment, and so like that's the thing. It's like one of those things is like you need like straight up some Jamaican and like Pakistani aunties to like run the goat joint. If they're in control of how goat is disseminated across America, then I feel confident. But then it's going to be like some hipster in Marin who's like an anti-vaxxer. He's like, I just discovered goat, and you're like, fuck.
I have family in Florida, and they live in a neighborhood where it's them and a bunch of Jamaicans on like in a neighborhood, and the neighborhood right next to them, and it's their neighbors are a bunch of South Asian families, and they have banded together, and I swear you can't find better food in Florida. Like
fellowship.
They every day they're just literally bringing food back and forth to each other and saying, man. And I'm just like, every time I go there, I'm just like, this is it. Maybe I can stay in Florida, and that's like a 3-second thought, and then it goes away.
Yeah, then you're like, no. Then you hear DeSantis, and you're like, no.
I was like, you know what, guys, freeze it, send it to me. I'll bring it.
The funny thing, we joke about this, but like, the funny thing is, like, if people smell the food, everyone loves food, right? Tasty food. They're like, we'll kill you. Maybe next week after the goat biryani. Oh yeah, we're gonna put you in the camps, but if we'll wait for the goat curry to come first.
They're the ones who they'll put us in the camps, but like show up at the lunch tents, being like, is it lunchtime yet? And we're like, oh, God,
Some of my favorite Jamaicans eat goat.
They say. They'll love reggae music and Jamaican food, but then still will call us, I don't know.
When Trump said, when Trump allegedly said, but he said it because they admitted it, that why can't these immigrants come from shithole countries? Why do these immigrants come from shithole countries? Why don't they come from Norway? Do you think Jamaica was included in the shithole country?
Oh yeah, 100%. But he definitely vacationed there like 2 months after. He was just like he definitely vacationed there and came back with the braids and with the beads too. He was just like, damn, that shithole country. They knew how to do hair. They can do good hair down there.
The funny thing is like they hate us from shithole countries, but they love our food.
Love our
They love
food.
our women. They love
Yes.
our style. And they
Stop.
love vacationing and posing with the locals, right? To
Oh, yeah.
prove that they're like enlightened. So it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
maybe you actually don't hate us. Maybe you actually want to be us.
It's jealousy. It's pure jealousy. It's like I mean, to quote a great book, or to quote the title of a great book, they want us to go back where we came from.
Yeah.
But they really do they really want us to go back, or do they really want to like come with us? They want to go back to where you came from, but like bring us to let us visit. We want to come.
But what I think it is like it's almost like if you've seen Get Out or whoever hasn't seen it yet, right? It's like the coveting of Black beauty, and you could say Black beauty, brown beauty, Asian beauty, the lust for it, absorbing it, wanting it, taking it, but making sure the rest of us kind of just give it, but don't speak up. As long as we know, like I think it is, as long as we knew our place, they'll be happy. But the fact that we have the audacity to dream and demand a seat at the table due to our rights as both human beings and American citizens, that is what's triggering the anxiety. You need to know your place. Your place you're the ethnic condiment. You're not the main course. You're next to salt and pepper. So let us just sprinkle you once in a while, but you're demanding to be a main course? Too much.
And I mean, yeah, and I think there's a level of jealousy there too, because look at us. We're from two separate cultures, right? But we have so much in common. We have food in common. We have cultural we have a lot of culture things in common. Family, like my Jamaican aunties and your Pakistani aunties. Yes, your Desi aunties.
Ruthless killers.
Ruthless, the scariest people I've ever met in my entire life. If one of them, I'm like approaching my 30s, and if one of them came here right now, I'd be shaking.
I've said that also. Is like if you put me, if you say like I have two paths. One path has a hungry lion, and another path has passive aggressive Desi aunties with chappals, sandals.
Exactly.
You choose the path with the lion.
The lion will leave me only physically harmed, not emotionally.
The lion will make it quick. The Jamaican and Desi aunties will kill you over 30 years through passive aggressive cuts.
Passive aggressive and like inventive in new ways. Like it evolves. I don't understand how, but it evolves. It's just the white people, the white Americans, just looking at it like, wow, we wish we can't have that. So instead of trying to have something close to it, we're gonna attack them. And it's sad. It's sad to see the jealousy. It's sad to see.
It's you say jealousy, but I was having a conversation with someone. The folks who are like truly bigoted and racist. And the funny thing is, in America, I'm now an old man, much older than you. I'm 41. I've never heard anyone declare themselves racist in America. Even the KKK. If you ask them if they're racist, they go, "No, we're not. We're identitarians. We're trying to preserve the white race." So I've never met a racist in America. You could like punch. If you call someone a racist, it's more painful to them than punching like their baby in the face, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like no one's racist. I don't have a racist bone in my body, and my wife thankfully is a doctor because I'm not a failure to South Asians. But I asked my wife, I'm like, are there racist bones in the body? She goes, no, Wajahat, there's no racist bones. But I think you're touching on something. It's the jealousy emanates from a self-loathing. Like there's a brokenness in there that inspires this rage. This need for a white supremacist narrative, this need for domination. Because if you had joy, and if you were fulfilled, and if you were secure, you'd be comfortable and confident.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have this quote unquote economic anxiety. You wouldn't need to tell people to go back to where they came from. You wouldn't simultaneously covet and lust, but also denigrate. Right? Like the rest of us, we're like chilling. We're like, all right, we're gonna be ourselves. You be yourself. Like, no. We need to dominate and exploit and ravage and pillage. And then after we've sucked you dry, we're gonna demand that you go back, or you stay as a second-class citizen. So my question is, what's wrong with them? Because ain't nothing wrong with me.
Exactly. And I mean, and I feel like you touch on it in your book. I remember as a kid, like bringing curry to school for lunch, right? And you knew it was good because what am I saying? The
tiffin?
The
The yogurt box.
The
Do
yogurt.
Jamaicans also use yogurt boxes? Old yogurt box.
Old yogurt box. The country. You know that country
Yeah,
rock
yeah,
like butter.
yeah,
Oh
yeah, no,
yeah.
yeah. It's never filled with butter or yogurt. It's always
No.
filled with food.
If I ever, I think I once went to like a friend's house and saw it with butter. And I was like, "What is this? Excuse me? Where's what? This? You
It's
guys
like
are
the
doing it
Royal
wrong."
Danks cookie box, the tin boxes that
Yeah.
never had cookies in them. It's always
only
sewing materials.
needles. Sewing materials, exactly. It has to be. No, but I would go with my stained containers, and I'd bring it to school, and that's how you knew it was good. But the kids would always say, "What is that? It smells terrible." Ugh. And then, but also like those same kids, I feel like today are the ones who are like, "Oh God, I went to this great Jamaican spot, and God, the curry chicken was so good." I'm like, but wait, weren't you the same people
that bullied me and mocked me?
Bullied and mocked me for the food that I brought, but now you're celebrating. It's
I had a very similar, because you said you're almost 30, right? So I think we kind of overlap here generationally. There was a shift because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I used to bring to school the delicious but dreaded kebab or patty with green stuff in it. And they used to be like, "What's green stuff? Why is green stuff in your patty?" I remember we went to a tailgate one time, Niners game, and like it was a barbecue tailgate. So like, my mom and dad like made these delicious desi patties, and they just mocked it and ridiculed it. But then they finally ate it. All right. Once they ate it, they friggin' devoured it, like destroyed it. And I was like, first of all, mother effer, I'm telling you, like it was delicious. Second of all, why'd you have to mock it? When I was a kid, they used to call it like, "Why'd you bring shit?" Because the kebabs are long kebabs.
Yeah.
Like, the shape is not poo, I swear. Like, why is your skin color the color of poo? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to be your friend. And then the funny thing is, it was the late 90s and the turn of the 21st century where they used to go to these restaurants. But I had to be like they didn't feel confident enough. So like, yo, Wajahat, come with us and order for us. And then we saw the shift a couple of years later when I used to get the call, "Watch, I'm here by myself. Just put in a good word." And now you go to these restaurants now, like, "Oh, I'll take a chicken tikka masala and a saag ghost, put a little bit more garam masala in it, thank you."
Yeah.
Which just goes to show you that people have the ability to expand and adapt.
And is there any part of you though that's like a little petty about it though? Because sometimes I'm happy. I guess I'm happy that you guys like this food now. I guess, but
I guess you're happy that you finally come around and broaden your horizons and not didn't need hold my hand to cross the road and have basically are participating in global cuisine and global cultures that I've been forced to, being an other, where whiteness has been the center of everything, and the rest of us on the margins have not only had to define ourselves and explain ourselves, but also understand your culture and live in your world. And then and now I'm supposed to applaud you for doing basic shit. I could be bitter about it, but it's one of those situations where I'm like, at least you've come around,
That's true.
So, but I understand, like, your feeling of exhaustion in like, skepticism is warranted because people like us who grew up in a certain time, we remember the days before before there was hummus in supermarkets, before chicken tikka masala was a thing, and when food was used to mock us, not to like as a easy way to like get some cultural currency. So I think it's one of those situations where we've become like those old black and brown folks back in my day.
Back in the good days. Back when you used to get beat up for bringing curry to school. Back when, oh my God, was this ever a thing for you where like kids, I assume like kids made fun of your family's accents and were like, why do they speak like my parents? My dad especially had a heavy Jamaican accent, which is hilarious because he's like, no, they don't know. They barely know I have an accent. I'm like, what? You have one of the strongest Jamaican accents. And the kids, and I'm just like, wait, but my parents came to another country with almost like with a different dialect of language that's almost extremely different, and have learned not only to speak your language, but also to understand your bastardization of the English language. And then and still you're making fun of them for doing. It's just like that anger as a kid I didn't even know what to do with.
You know, I mentioned that a lot in the book about
Mhm.
accents and how, and really, if you think about it, everyone has an accent. If you and
Yeah.
I go to another country and speak another language, we'll have an accent. In Virginia, where I'm at right now, if I go to certain parts of Virginia, I swear I'm talking to Foghorn Leghorn. I'm like, what's happening?
Oh,
If
yeah.
you go to Chicago, apparently they just soda pap. You know, I'm like, what the hell did you just say? You mean Coke? Like, no, pap. Like, okay. In the South, they got draws, right? So everyone has an accent, and you mentioned that, you know, I think growing up a son of immigrants, what happens sometimes is you feel anger at when you are mocked for your skin color, your multisyllabic name, the shape of your eye, the shape of your nose, but also your parents who, you know, you were lucky enough to notice how incredibly smart and creative and resilient they were. But for many of us, we're like, we don't want to be the friggin' butt of the jokes. We don't want to be the punchline.
Right.
So you separate yourself from your parents. You laugh at them. You join the crowd in pointing at them. Ha ha ha. They're goofy accents. Ha ha ha. They're goofy clothes. I'm not like that. I'm American. And you get embarrassed. And so many and that leads to a self-loathing that persists throughout your entire life. And that type of awareness sometimes doesn't come from many people, right? It's just self-loathing. Because you're taught to hate yourself. You're taught to mock your parents. And then I think when it happened with us also, like we kind of embraced the Desi accent because the Desi accent is colorful. And we used to mock our parents, and our parents used to say, ha ha, go ahead and mock us, come to Pakistan and speak Urdu, loser. And I'm like, okay, you got us. But we kind of embraced the culture and we laughed with it also. But at the same time, when someone else, it's like you can make fun of your family member, but if someone else does it, fighting words.
Oh, they're fighting. Without hesitation.
The impact, right? But the impact is they are goofy. They're a punchline. They're the other. And then it takes you a while to realize, wait, my parents in that generation came here with almost nothing, left behind their security, left behind their family, literally created a community out of nothing, learned the language, studied in the language, succeeded in this country, made themselves, made their community. If anything, you should be like, yo, these people are dope.
Yeah. Like it's insanely crazily dope. Like I mean, I feel like this came back to me.
That's my kiddo. That's my wildling who penetrated the fortress.
I mean, don't they always? They find a way.
There's no point. This is when you do a pandemic podcast, and any attempt to like tell him to quiet makes him even louder. But no, that's my use. If you guys heard that was my baby Khadija, who was upset that the phone I had given her to watch Blippi had died. And I would like to say that all parents who've given their kids too much screen time during the pandemic, I empathize. Don't feel too guilty. Sometimes it's the only thing you have for your survival.
Yeah.
You give them some Blippi, you give them some freaking Coco Melon, whatever it takes, man.
Whatever it takes. My nephew who's 4, oh my God, he's 4 now. Listen, when they want some free time, Spider-Man, the Miles Morales Spider-Man movie, that's the way to do it.
Oh, that movie's great.
I mean, fantastic movie. I get it. I fully understand.
And the sequel's coming out.
Oh, excited. You know what? Let's pivot to that. You know what? I'm sorry about your book, but this but back to that. But I mean, when the immigration ban was happening and like the highlight on like othering immigrants, I don't know, that anger came back to me and like how dare you do this to the people who raised me, and like you don't even understand the work that they did to like make me who I am, but also like to prosper in any kind of way in this country. When you didn't, like it like sparked this old anger in me that like I didn't even realize I had.
You know, it's a good point you're mentioning, because there are two markers, I think, in particular for my life that I mentioned in the book and for my generation, right? And there's several markers for different people, but I'm now 41. If you do the math, that means I was 20 years old when 9/11 happened. I was a senior at UC Berkeley, about to turn 21. And for many, not all, but for many in my generation of brown and black folks, I would say brown and black folks, but mostly brown folks and Asians, whose parents, like my parents, came after 1965, after the Immigration Nationality Act that, you know, made discrimination against national origin illegal, and finally, after 40 years, allowed immigrants from Asia to come. And that was the golden ticket for my father's generation, Willy Wonka golden ticket. And just coincided that my father had just graduated his version of high school, and he's like, yep, me and our brother are coming 18, 19-year-olds fresh to America. Finally, 1965, we're gonna come a student visa and make ourselves American dream, yada yada yada. So many of them had their version of the American dream, and they did the work, and they were the good minority, and they got the good education, and they smiled with their white teeth, and they had the good kids. And without realizing it, I mentioned in this book, because if you ask them, they'll never admit this, but if you really ask here's the wilding. Yes, please. If you ask them, they'll never admit this. They chased whiteness. They chased whiteness, and they ran as far away as they could from blackness.
Yeah.
Because when they came here, they looked at the sea and they're like, all right, who's on top? Whites. Who does everyone hate? Blacks. Okay, we will chase whiteness. We will try to be asymptotic to whiteness. We will try to be embraced by whiteness. And we're going to separate ourselves from those blacks and browns and Latinos and poor folks.
Yep.
But that 9/11 was a rude awakening. Oh, this country will turn on you on a dime. And everything that you've done, that equity means nothing. Overnight, you're the brown savage. You're a suspect. You're the other, axis of evil. And then Trumpism comes 16, 15 years later. And those who are still lulled, there were many still, I'll talk about Muslims in South Asia, Muslim Arabs, not all, but many who are like, no, I'm still Republican. No, they still like me. No, just a few. Once they saw Trumpism and they saw millions of Americans support the Muslim man, I know some folks who are like, that's it. That was their radicalization moment that said, I did everything right, and you still see me as this. And for Black folks, many poor brown folks, many folks who are, I'll use this word even though I don't like using it, woke. They're like, so it took you that long to figure it out, huh?
That long.
Finally. Well, okay. Welcome to our America. And that rage, I think, was a sustained rage for you and me and others who knew what America was. But for others, it was a new rage, because that new rage came at the realization that it didn't matter. It won't matter. No matter how much I check off the boxes on the checklist, live in the suburbs, get the right degree, marry the right wife, have the right kids, go to the right college, smile with the white teeth showing, I'll never be American enough, and my citizenship will always be conditional.
Yeah.
And that was a new rage for them.
And that's it's a new rage. And I think it's a new rage too for like a lot of first generation children. I'm finding I'm like as a first generation kid, and like, everyone in my generation in my family are mostly first gen. We're like, oh, you're one, attacking our family, but two, like we're also conditional. Like they want to like they would be fine taking our citizenship away as well. How do you, like, it's just for the first gen, like me and most people in my family's generation, or the generation in my family of like first gen, are finding out that our citizenship is also conditional as well. Like they don't care about us. I mean, like the Black Lives Matter movement last year, or oh my God, almost 2 years now, a year and a half, was a big awakening for a lot of it. The travel bans, the Asian American hate crimes that was a year ago. Oh God, there was we haven't had a good pandemic, have we? This pandemic is not the best.
Some people always knew it, right? So you talked to a lot of Black folks. They're like, we've always known since we were born and raised here. And you talked to a lot of immigrants who went through the hazing. Muslim, there were people who were from certain communities, poor communities, refugees. Like, we always knew we didn't need 9/11, we didn't need Trump. But what Trumpism did, and the rise of Trumpism, especially after the election of Barack Obama, right, where many people thought, and I always laughed at this, and I wrote articles about this, like, we live in a post-racial society. I'm like, nope. I'm a student of American history, and the election of Obama is going to inspire white rage, and what we're going to witness is the death rattle of white supremacy. And the death rattle has transformed into a global death march, and they're playing for all the marbles. And the reason why I want to put it at, use Obama is a man by the name of Barack Hussein Obama, with a Kenyan Muslim father, with a black wife with toned black arms and black kids, was allowed to ascend to the highest office in the land and sleep in the bed of Washington and Lincoln and Jefferson and other white men before him. If you are terrified of being replaced, what is the most potent symbol of being replaced? Barack Obama. Right. And that is, and is it any surprise that then the person who then replaces Obama is the same man who championed the birther conspiracy, a racist vulgarian by the name of Donald Trump? And so I think for many Americans born and raised here, first generation, second generation, they're like, I'm American. What do you mean? Where am I going to go back? And oh, look, this country elected Obama. It isn't perfect, but we got Obama. And things seem to be trending in the right direction. And they're like, oh, wait, they hate us. Oh, wait. In 2020, even after this guy who is the worst president we've had, literally lied to people and failed us during a pandemic, leading to 850,000 deaths and counting, 11 million more people said, yep, this is the guy to make us better. Yeah. And so they might not be racist, but they don't mind voting for a racist.
No.
So what does that say about so many fellow Americans, that this is the guy who's their champion? This is the guy who is their leader. This is the guy who's their visionary, Donald Trump. And so for so many folks who've been writing about this and warning about this, and, who were seen as cranks and race hustlers and these men and women who were just peddling the old lie and not evolving, they're now seen as the prophets. And meanwhile, they don't really take that compliment in stride, because they're like, yeah, okay, but at what cost? I just wish you would have paid attention.
Yeah.
And now I feel like, as a young man, I'm still relatively young, I've been saying this for years now. I've backed it up with my writing and my appearances on media and podcasts and CNN. I said Trumpism is playing for all the marbles. It's the base. It is now representative of conservatives and Republicans. After he leaves, you think they're going to get better. They're going to further radicalize and weaponize. And you should see the responses I got from quote unquote experts in the DC and New York City, kind of incestuous ecosystem. Sure, you just say that, which you'll see the moderates will come, the establishment will come. Now look, it's the anniversary of January 6th, and a majority of Republicans believe the big lie, and 30% of them, which corresponds to millions of Americans, are perfectly fine with the use of violence against the government. And I believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bobart and Cawthorn, Gosar are the base. So much so that if George W. Bush in 2021 was to announce that he was going to run for president,
oh God,
Republicans would hate him for being a Muslim lover.
Yep.
That's where we're at right now.
And it's, oh God, I mean, oh God. And like, it's so funny you said that too, because right before we recorded, I was looking at a video of a moderate senator, I won't say her name, leading the cast of Hamilton singing to remember the January 6th.
So tone deaf.
And I was just like, oh no. I was like, oh God, well,
it was Nancy Pelosi, and Nancy Pelosi thought it was awesome to invite Lin-Manuel to introduce Hamilton. And listen, Lin-Manuel is very talented. Hamilton made a lot of money, launched a lot of careers. I had not seen it. I just didn't have the money. And I finally saw it 5 years late, but I was also privy to a lot of the critics of Hamilton, in particular Ishmael Reed, who was my professor. And he was one of the people who, Ishmael Reed was, once you finish the book, you will read the middle part where Ishmael Reed was my professor at UC Berkeley, who after 9/11, when I was in his short story writing class, told me to stop writing short stories. And he said, dialogue and characters were my strength. And he, in his short story writing class, in order for me to pass that class, made me write 20 pages of the play. And the play was The Domestic Crusaders, which is what launched my writing career. And he told me, as a black man, I remember this conversation, he says, your people are going to get hazed for the next 10 years. I'm paying attention to the media. And as a black man, we've been getting hazed for 400 years in this country. But the way we fought back is through art and culture and storytelling. That's one thing they've never been able to take from us. And when I read the American dramas and American plays, there's Long Day's Journey in the Night, which, by the way, is an ethnic play. It's about an Irish American family. People forget that everyone's ethnic in America. The Irish were also not considered white. Long Day's Journey in the Night, I'm talking about Death of a Salesman. It was Jewish American. Long Day's Journey in the Night was Irish. Fences, Raising in the Sun. He said, have you read those plays? I said, yeah. He goes, why don't you write me something like that? I'm like, what? And he says, a kitchen drama, typical American family drama, but from the view of a Muslim Pakistani American family. And so that's what got me on the path. And then we stayed in touch and, we kept working together. But he was the first one to call out Hamilton and bring forth many of the critiques. Some people think he was too harsh, but nonetheless, he got that dialogue started. Why are we praising a slave owner? Why did we whitewash history? And then when he started saying this 5 years ago, before it was fashionable, like, shut up, Ishmael, shut up, you cranky old man. But now people are like, well, these are, and then even Lin-Manuel, it goes, I accept all fair criticism. So it's really interesting that Nancy Pelosi, who is very effective at her job, but also, let's be honest, represents a type of establishment democratic presence that excludes people like you and me.
Yep.
They thought it would be amazing to bring some infotainment to a January 6th commemoration. All of it was just so weird, man. So weird.
Watch, I think did you not feel empowered with seeing them in kente cloth? But I should not be saying this. I have more critique.
I will be empowered when I see Merrick Garland, the Justice Department, go after Donald Trump and Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan and all the other individuals who orchestrated a conspiracy to overthrow a free and fair election. And I have to say this, and I've said this a lot, you can always tell the double standard. When people say white privilege doesn't exist, I say this. Can you imagine what would happen if a bunch of black and brown folks on January 6th with guns and weapons decided to have a protest? Forget even storming the U.S. Capitol. Suppose they were just outside the U.S. Capitol. What would happen? And suppose what would happen if a majority of brown and black folks armed with ill intentions attacked the police, killed a police officer, overtook the U.S. Capitol, and started hunting for white congressmen? What would happen in this country? How would this country respond? And when people say, well, why can't you see race? Why can't you see past race? And hey, you darky, stop whining about racism and be post-racial. I want to give you this example as you're listening to this podcast on the anniversary of January 6th. And if you think I'm crazy, let's take a DeLorean to Ferguson, Missouri, a couple of years ago when people were protesting the murder of a teenage boy. Look at the response of America. The tanks, the tear gas, the rubber bullets, right? And that's just want to leave that thought for those who are skeptical while listening to this podcast.
And I'm surprised you went back that far, because I would have gone to 2020 that summer.
Right, 2020.
I had guns pointed at me, snipers pointed at me, helicopters while protesting on the street. I know people who were tear gassed, I know someone who lost an eye from a rubber bullet. This was 2020. This was less than 2 years ago. And you're right. I think that a year ago, I was with my sister when I found out that this insurrection was happening. And I forgot how I'm just now remembering how unsurprised I was, where I was looking at the news. I'm like, yeah, I was like, this sounds right. And I remember
this sounds about right.
This sounds about right. And I looked at my sister and I was like, wow, if this was black people. And my sister immediately, without a beat, was like, we'd be slaves already. Don't even say that. We'd be.
You know what would happen? We'd be chalk lines. We'd be chalk lines. That's all we would.
You think they'd waste that much chalk on us? I would say.
Yeah, that's true. They want to wait. You even took it to a darker place than me. Oof. What happens if they just make a huge circle?
Just a circle. They'll make a huge circle, and then a white liberal 2 years from now would recreate it, but put BLM in the middle, and it'd be
and so it's that type of frustration. It's that type of kind of dark comedy that's needed sometimes. Humor can be used wisely, I think, to instruct, but also to make the medicine go down sweeter. It also helps catharsis, but it also helps, I think, this type of conversation. This is the type of conversation I try to have very honestly in the book, through stories and through humor and through specific anecdotes, but also some commentary to connect the dots, right? And because I think there's an appetite. The good news here is, what I've noticed as a result of Trumpism, in particular, Trump becoming president, is many of my friends who, let's be honest, cared, but said, every group has their grievance. You blacks always crying about racism. You Muslims are always whining about Islamophobia. Once Trump won with the Muslim ban, so many of them said, you were right. You were onto something. This is real. Oh, crap. This is an American problem. And once you've seen the escalation and the radicalization and the weaponization of the conservative movement, because it is, I'm sorry to say, and you're seeing this stuff out in the open, such as the white supremacist replacement theory, which is parroted almost nightly on Tucker Carlson's show, people are like, you blacks and you browns and you Asians weren't lying. You're onto something. And then you see black folks getting killed in broad daylight, like George Floyd murdered. Like, this police brutality is something, you guys. Spike Lee, when he said it and Do the Right Thing, it wasn't just fiction, right? And I think there's an awareness now and a realization that we should be listening. And I feel like there's a good moment here, and I hope there's a moment where stories like mine and stories like yours have a receptive audience, whereas 5 years ago they would have just shut down and ignored it. That's the one opening, and that opening, by the way, in American history shuts real quick, because 2020 millions of Americans were out protesting, and it was about diversity and equity and inclusion. And a bunch of friends of mine, I'm sure your friends had the same conversation. I said, when will the empire strike back? And I thought maybe, some of the optimists were like 2 years. And I'm like, I said 1 year. And I was right. It was less than a year. And now you're seeing Toni Morrison's Beloved being banned. It just took a year.
And again, it's the surprise. There's a level of surprise. There's actually a funny meme that I'm remembering. It's these two black women in the kitchen, and one of their phones is going off, and the friend is like, what's happening? And the woman whose phone it is, she's like, oh, it's fine. All my white friends are just figuring out that racism exists. It's fine. It's like that surprise that like Toni Morrison's Beloved being, it's like, oh yeah, of course it is. It's going to get banned every like 10 years because people are just going to remember that they want to be racist about it. And they are going to be. It's To Kill a Mockingbird was banned. James Baldwin has been around for however long. His books has been banned forever. It's at this point kind of a badge of honor. I wish one day I hope to have a book banned in schools. That'd be
the thing is, as we're saying this, that there's a Texas lawmaker who introduced on the heels of cancel culture and wokeness and blah 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 and banning CRT in Virginia. I'm in Virginia right now, and I was telling people, everyone thought that Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat, would walk his way in. I kept telling folks, you guys are not reading the pulse, because I'm here. I've been here for now 9 years. I'm like, you guys don't realize, man, they're onto something. And I wrote an article about it in the Daily Beast in the summer, talking about how CRT will be the new anti-Sharia threat. And if Democrats don't mobilize a response to this, they're going to lose elections. Voila. I hate being right. And it tapped into the panic. And CRT was a Trojan horse that now allows them to literally ban books. And now Texas has introduced a list of 800 books that need to be purged. And they're literally removing these books from Texas libraries as we're speaking. And DeSantis of Florida has done something called Stop Wokeness Act. Stop Woke Act. I'm not making this up. It's called the Stop Woke Act, which basically is cover for them to attack any initiative at diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And so this is the moment where the empire strikes back, but we also have to strike back, right? Because if you lose hope, it's over, man. They're playing for all the marbles. I said this in the book, is that the analogy I give is it's the Avengers Endgame movie, and white supremacy is Thanos, and white supremacy is playing for all the marbles, all the marbles. And if we're expecting the Avengers to come and help us, they're not. We can't outsource this problem. So everyone has to do something within their capacity, and especially at the local level, right? Like I'm sure people are listening right now, like, dude, I'm just a person. I'm just a dad or a mom. What can I do? They're deliberately going after school boards. You can run for the school board. You can run for city office. You can, even in your community, even in your family, the way you talk, the books you introduce, that changes a generation. It changes the discourse. It inoculates your kids from this type of poison that is going to be more and more mainstreamed as the death rattle of white supremacy becomes a more violent death march. And so I didn't become a doctor. I'm an English major who then became an attorney, and now I'm a recovering attorney. But my hope to push this country forward and to expand it and stretch it, because that's what it is, right? This country has always had to expand and stretch to accommodate the rest of us as co-protagonists. And you're seeing this restrictive force that has always been in America. America's only for those who are white, male, cisgendered, straight, rich, not for anyone else. And so if you don't push back and you keep stretching, this country will implode, because white supremacy is ultimately a losing narrative, but it's a very destructive one.
Yep. And I mean, what am I going to say to follow that up?
It was like my TED talk. It was like my weird, my Bill Pullman Independence Day moment.
And you know what? You're right. That's it. That's all. Just a slow clap. I wish I had an audience here. You know what? We'll edit that in too. We'll edit it in.
Welcome to Earth.
It's so.
Punch the alien in the face.
I'm currently watching the series The Expanse.
Oh yeah, man! Expanse is dope. I'm watching it also.
It's so great, and it's so funny watching that show where it's like Earth versus Mars versus the Belt, which is this like interstellar like civilization of humans, and it's like they're all against each other. I'm like, wow, interesting. My brain first went to, wow, the Earth is together. The Earth is like one thing. That's crazy. That's insane. But like to think of the planet banding together to be racist against another planet, that's crazy.
Human nature. That's it. Yeah, it's a really good show, and it just shows you like, yep, human. There's always human impulses for greed, for power, for wealth that will not be contained even to Earth. No. But there are also impulses towards love and generosity and kindness and education and forgiveness and healing. And so I think in this path, and it's going to be a lifelong fight for us in our generation, how do we maintain joy? How do we maintain hope in hopeless times? How do we maintain humor and warmth and camaraderie during a pandemic? I think this is also something that should be deeply discussed and invested in. Otherwise, the alternative is apathy and cynicism and pain. And I'm not a masochist, right? And I feel like we need to hold on to both. You need to have the rage and the anger to fuel the action, but as we act, we also need to hold on desperately to hope and joy. Because we have limited time, man. Death comes for all, and we have limited life. And if you sit there miserable, they'll take everything. If they take our joy, they've taken everything, and they win.
Taken everything. And I mean,
I refuse to concede my joy.
And one thing about your book, there is joy there. I feel like, I mean, if you've listened to this podcast, you've heard the joy. We're having fun. But that's it. Your book feels like even the intro that you read for us, that was fun. That was joy. You were taking such a shitty thing and bringing so much joy from it. And you're right, it is, and that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, because I want to be, I bet there's listeners who agree, just want to be mad sometimes. I want to like go outside and find someone to fight because I just want to be mad about the state of the world. But like, there's so much to be happy about. There is so much. True. It's joy. And like to talk about a woman who knew about love, I want to bring up like Bell Hooks, because she really understood what it meant, and to like love each other, to like have love in this world, and like see that in community, and like I think that's why, like things like the immigration ban, why people like the term "go back to where you came from" sucks. It's because like, when our community that we came from is bomb, it's tight. Like there's so much to love about like so many of these communities that they keep shouting, "Go back to where you came from." It like, come with us. It'd be great. You have a fun time.
Yeah, but also, and the book does this. I mentioned this in the book, is that's the America I envision. It's like a block party, a diverse block party with all the friends that I've had. Everyone bringing some delicious dish with an amazing Spotify playlist. And all you have to do is bring an empty stomach and an open heart and an open mind. And like, why wouldn't you want to live there? The music's great. The women are beautiful. The people are kind. The food is delicious. You'll have a great time. And that's the type of America I'm fighting for, because you have to fight for that America, right? Because this country is a multiracial democracy. It is the most diverse country on earth. White supremacy, it will not win. It just won't win. You can't cut it. And number two, none of us are going back. We're not going back to 1953.
Couldn't if I want to.
Yeah, and so it's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna destroy this country just because you're paranoid and terrified of equality, or do you want to dip into these waters, and these waters are warm and festive and fun and soothing, and you'll have great meals and great neighbors. And that's the type of America I envision in the book, and I advocate for in the book. But I also, at the same time, would be remiss not to warn Americans, if we don't meet the moment, if we don't meet the crisis, the America that we have is going to be a white supremacist minority vision of Hungary. Right now, Viktor Orban's Hungary. And trust me, even those who are listening who think, oh, I'm white, I'll be okay. Nope. Because look how they treat the Kyle Rittenhouse's victims. They were white people. And you should listen to what they treat them the way that racists treated white allies of black folks during the 50s and 60s. They're called race traitors. So if you think you're white and you'll be protected, you won't be protected. If you think you're chummy and like you date someone in the ecosystem of DC and New York, you'll be protected, you won't be protected. Your wealth won't protect you. You won't be safe in that version of America. So join the rest of us instead, a multicultural coalition of the willing. Let's keep stretching and expanding this country. We'll have delicious food, and you'll have an amazing time at our community barbecue.
And I mean, and I feel like I could go on for another hour, but that's a perfect ending. That's a perfect way to tie that up. Did we, and this is a quick question, did we talk enough about your book?
It's fine, man. I think people will enjoy the conversation, and the conversations is inspired from the themes in the book. And it's fine by me.
No, this is, I mean, I had such a fun time that a part of me is like, listeners, you'll listen to the book. You'll read the book because you had such a fun time. All of you listeners, and they will, and I know they will, because I know my listeners. No, this is what a great ending to this podcast day. This was fantastic. I had such a good time. Did you? I hope you had a great time.
Great conversation. We didn't plan anything for those who are listening. I was late to this because of I was on single dad duty while my wife was coming. And there's another potential snowstorm in Virginia. The grocery stores were packed, and so we just sat down and started riffing, and it was fun. We went from goat to white supremacy to, and it came full circle to end on a multicultural barbecue. What more do you want?
Listen, that sounds great. I mean, you tell me when and where that barbecue is, and I'm there. I'll bring some
bring me some Jamaican goat curry.
You know I will. And you know I will. I'll bring some goat curry and some rice and peas and some beef patties, or either beef or curry patties. Either way. I got it.
And my meat will have the green stuff in it, but I promise you it'll be delicious.
Oh my. And I'm ready. And
thank you, Lance. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you for having this conversation.
Thank you, Waj. Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. Do you have any last things you'd like to say to the listeners or the independent bookstore community as a whole?
Support your local bookstores. It matters. Buy books locally. It matters. The book is coming out January 25th. You know, Amazon is making probably getting buy it super cheap, but spend the extra $1 or $2, go to your local bookstore. It'll be worth it. And post pandemic, I hope, as we say, inshallah, I can visit. My book tour became virtual. I was supposed to visit LA. So maybe in a couple of months, stay safe, stay vaccinated, get the booster shots, wear your masks. And we have a real chance that this pandemic becomes an endemic in the spring. And maybe, just maybe, we can meet in person at the local bookstore at SKYLIT.
And you know what? Maybe we'll have a multicultural barbecue. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Hey, I'm just saying.
No. Thank you again, Wash.
Thanks,
thank
man.
you to our go buy his book. Go buy his book. Go back to where you came from. But don't say it out loud if you're white.
You're not allowed to. Unless you have to say the whole title.
You have to say the whole title with Waj's full name in there too, or else.
I'm just kidding.
I want to start like a TikTok challenge, like who can white people can you say this book title? Can you say this book title out loud?
And they're like, it's like that SNL skit from a couple years ago when they were doing auditions for 12 Years a Slave.
Oh yeah.
And then the actors are supposed to say the N-word. It was hilarious. And they're like, I'm not gonna say this. Like, why don't you just whip? I'm like, nah.
I remember. I forgot who it was, but they handed them the whip, and they're like, I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. No, that was, oh, God. Go watch that skit if you haven't seen it. It's fantastic.
It's
classic. But no, thank you to you listeners. Thank you for coming back, or if this is your first time, Thank you for listening for the first time, and please, please, please come back. Check out our catalog of the episodes we've had before. We had some great authors like Waj before. Check out, and also stay in tune for our lineup. We have some good people coming on, so check us out.
Thank you for listening to the Skylight Books podcast series. Please don't forget to visit our website at skylightbooks.com and make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for more author talks and bookseller conversations. You can find us on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Stay safe and healthy, and we hope to see you back in our store soon.